Welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. I just wanted everybody to know that all participants are in silent mode. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them out in the chat. Kate and I will be monitoring the chat box as well as our Twitter live feed. So you are welcome to put any questions that you have in either the chat box or in the Twitter feed, and we'll be happy to take those questions as they come along.
Yeah. Thank you, Zia. And for the introduction parts, Zia, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself before I do?
Sure, I can start off. So guys, my name is Zia. I work for the DevMasters. A little bit of background about me is I am from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I lived in Vancouver for many years, and I worked at Bell Canada as a cloud specialist. My role was actually to take on-prem solutions or help companies move on-prem solutions from on-prem to public cloud. And I did that for many years. But I just got a little bit bored of that, so I decided to get into the exciting field of data science, and have been doing that, and moved to California, and have been working with DevMasters doing that for a couple of years now.
Cool. So a little bit about me. Again, I'm Kate. I'm also a data scientist with DevMasters. I specialized in probability and statistics in college, and I realized that while I was getting my degree, I really liked data, and there was no other way that I would be able to function if I didn't have a job in data. So eventually somebody told me about data science, and the rest is history, basically. I found myself knee deep in data science, and I couldn't get out. So yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So, how do you enjoy doing data science, Kate? Do you like it, and is that something that's a passion for you?
Yeah, I love data science. I think it's a new way of doing data analytics. Before we can just ask how and why, but we were never able to answer things like what happens next, or how can you make it so that something else happens instead. So it's a nice way of getting more information out of your data than ever before. And yep.
That's very exciting. Yeah, so it's exciting times for data science and data science people who are in that industry. Awesome, good stuff.
Yeah. So for today's webinar, we have which was 5 minutes introductions, and then we're going to move on to what is data science and what are the applications of data science, where we'll tell you kind of what is expected of a data scientist, where can it be applied, what are some industries that need data science, and then we'll then open it up for the first round of Q&A, where you'll be able to type your questions into the chat box and be able to tell us what you need help on. And then we'll move on to the case study, and the case study will consist of basically a little bit of code in order for you to see what data science can do, what happens in a data science project. And then afterwards, we'll show you how you can actually learn to become a data scientist with the DevMasters. And then there will be a lot of questions after that, so that's why we will end the webinar with Q&A. And after the Q&A and after you sit through the entire webinar, we actually have a $500 coupon for those who actually attend the full webinar. And then there's actually a special offer only for webinar attendees that sign up early for the classes.
All right, so there is a $500 coupon as well as a special offer. Very cool at the end of the seminar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the when we go to different conferences, Kate, and when we are like when we're talking to people, one of the questions that comes up very often is how do you become a data scientist, or more importantly, what is required for, like, what kind of skills or what is required to be a data scientist? So are we going to talk about those?
Yeah, it's actually very straightforward. Here
Okay.
you see like a chart that says what a data scientist is. And yeah, and you can see here that includes four parts. You need to know computer programming, starting from the top. You need to know statistics. You need to have communication skills, and most importantly, you need to have a domain expertise. So this is kind of like what we answer, and when people ask us, how do you become a data scientist at conferences?
So
So
what you're saying is that somebody who has kind of these skills can call himself a data scientist. He should be able to at least do some level of programming so that he can use those computer tools like Python and R and SPSS or SAS or SAP and work on those. And you are saying that he does have to have some background in statistics as well as understanding of the domain, and then be
mhm.
able to tell a story about the data that whatever he's finding. So these kind of are the core skills for a data scientist.
Right, yeah, this is what a data scientist should encompass.
Okay,
These are, yeah.
very
And
cool,
then
very cool. So how, like then typically, where does the value in data science come in? How what's the value stack look like for data science?
that's a very interesting question, and we actually have a diagram that actually describes this. It's right here on your screen. It's a data science pyramid where we start from the bottom, where we actually, as soon as your data comes in, you collect it, you display it, and then you clean it, you aggregate it, you visualize it, you start creating some of your questions that you can answer with this data. And then you write up reports on what you find first, like in exploring it and then sharing it and creating links to other sources of data that you've seen before. And then in those three parts, that's basically what a data analyst does. And then a data scientist actually moves farther up the pyramid and starts doing predictions, recommendations, make inferences on the data, start to understand the data. And then at the very top is actually where the real value comes in. We actually then, based on those predictions and recommendations, we actually deliver a recommendation to those who wanted us to analyze the data in the first place. Tell them, okay, this is what your data is saying, and this is what is predicted or classified to happen.
Okay, so this is
So,
what it means when you were talking about that the initial three layers basically is where you find out what happened and why did that happen. So you're basically looking in the historic data and trying to figure out what happened and why did it happen. And then in the top two layers, you are looking at what will happen next, and then how can we make it happen. So the actionable insights. Oh, very cool. So this is how the world of data science works.
yeah, it's actually very awesome. And then, in terms of that, though, there's only a certain amount of industries that actually benefit from this. Um, well, actually, there are a lot of industries that will benefit from data science. So there are some industries that actually actively have data science teams. So any industry that actually has data will be able to benefit from data science also. So, yeah, do you have any particular companies or industries on this list that you have experience with?
Sure, yeah, at Einstein Assembly, we do work with a few companies, but I really liked what you said, Kate, that any industry can use data science if they have data, and majority of the industries now have data because companies now collect data and keep data, and because the storage cost has gone down substantially, and the compute power is really fast. Companies keep data and are able to analyze it and make use out of it. So majority of these industries, all of them have lots of data, and they can work on work to get value out of that data. In terms of us working, the DevMasters actually has a sister company called Einstein Assembly, and I work as a data scientist, as a consultant, a data science consultant at Einstein Assembly as well. And a couple of projects that we do there are recommendation systems. So we are building a recommendation platform for e-commerce websites. So a recommendation system, I believe most of you would know, but it's something like when you watch a Netflix movie, Netflix will recommend you different movies based on what movie you typed, or what persona or what personality you have, or your user profile. So that's a recommendation system, and we are working on building a recommendation system for an e-commerce platform that has about 400, 500 sites on them. So that's one of the domains that I work in a little bit. I also work in something called sentiment analysis using unstructured data, using the natural language processing. So that's another field that we work with, trying to understand what people are saying on social media, or Instagram photos, or Snapchat, and things like that. Trying to understand the sentiment of that post or the photo or whatever you are looking at. So that's another domain that we work in, and there's a lot of potential in those domains because it looks at the unstructured piece, which is the highest growing piece in data. If you look at the growth of data, unstructured is where the majority of the growth is happening.
Okay. Yeah, that's very insightful. Thank you, Zia. There's other people on the team also with us, with me and Zia. There's Arshad Khan, who's also a data scientist. He has a great background with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. There's Jay Mayers, and also a data scientist with us. He does most of his data science with his app developments. There's City, who's also one of our data scientists. He is actually in the middle of his PhD right now, so there's a lot going on for him right now. And then there's Al Fuller, who's our director of recruiting, who helps either funnel resumes out to some of our partner companies, or helps find recruiting for our own companies. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Alan is instrumental, guys. If you are looking to make a career switch, or if you are interested in, if you're a fresh graduate and you're trying to find out that if data, like looking for your first job, Alan is instrumental in that, and he can help you make that first connection to those companies. So he's a good resource to know for sure. Okay, so I guess time for a case study, Kate. So what are we going to do?
Today we're going to do a case study on identifying the car model. And as you see in your screen right now, there's a banner that says Porsche, guess the correct car for 0 down, 0 interest for a year, and then followed by a Jaguar symbol. So, So imagine you're in a car sales room and you see this banner, and this offer seems really tempting. So
how do I get it?
Yeah, that seems to be the question. It's how do we get this? So you walk up to a car salesman and you ask him, how do I manage to get this incredible offer? And he tells you, I'm going to give you a data set that has the type of car, the price of the car, the age of the car, and the mileage of the car. And then using this data set, I want you to somehow answer with 70% accuracy in a different data set whether the car is a Porsche or a Jaguar. And you say, that seems pretty interesting.
So you have to actually do data science to actually get this offer. We cannot just kind of sign a document and get the offer.
Oh no, unfortunately not.
Oh, okay. So in this case, when you are trying to approach a solution like this, Kate, how do we approach it? Like we choose a tool and go forward with it?
So that's a very good question. Of course, we can just blatantly guess each one of the the cars that he's given to us in the data set, and then just say, forget it. Who cares about previous data? I'll just guess it on my own. And there's actually a probability model that tells you that if you have a 50% chance of guessing the car correctly, and out of the 30 cars that you have to guess, you have to make 70% of them right, which is about 21 correct guesses and 9 wrong guesses using Python. In that formula up there, you see that we get basically we have a 1.33% chance of achieving the 70% criteria for the car offer purely by guessing.
So that means that like this offer is almost impossible to get because 1.33% chance is not a really good chance. So that means I have to do something different to actually improve my odds of getting this offer. And how I can do that is I can do that by actually using data science to help me out predict those cars, and by predicting them, hopefully I can get to a percentage which is higher than this 1.33 and as high as hopefully above 70% so that I can get the car. So how do I start? I choose a tool. In our case, we chose Python because that's the programming language that we use. And you basically import whatever you require. So you import your pandas data frame libraries, you import your NumPy libraries, you import other visualization tools that you have to. And then the first step usually in a data science challenge or a problem that you're trying to solve is actually you try to visualize the data. You try to see and figure out if there are any outliers, if there is any missing data, if there is any data that needs some attention, or that needs to be that needs to be handled before you actually start modeling. You take care of that, and usually visualization is a good way of doing that. Once you have visualized the data and you feel like that the data is now good enough that you can actually do model, you choose a model depending on what kind of a problem it is, and then you fit your data to that model. Once you have fit to the model, then you actually see what kind of results you are getting. You inspect your results, you see your accuracy scores or your RMSE values, whatever you are looking for, and then once the results are satisfactory and you are getting above what your threshold is, then you can implement that on the test data set. So this is kind of a high-level process that you do to actually solve a data science problem. And we are going to take the same approach, and we will try to solve the challenge that the salesperson gave us, which is predicting on the test data set how many cars are Jaguar and how many of them are Porsche.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so
how do you start that, Kate?
So first you start off by step 1, visualizing the data. As you can see in the top 4 charts there, you'll see that the variable that we want to identify, which is basically car, when modeled against all the other variables, price, age, mileage, and even itself, car, gives you 2 values. And since they are binary, this means that we are doing a classification model. And on top of that, I chose logistic regression because the way price, age, and mileage is graphed against car, I can probably fit a logistic line on to actually be able to capture most of those points. Therefore, that's why I chose logistic regression. And in the first
Yeah.
line of code,
Sorry, go ahead, Kate. My bad.
Yeah, so in the first line of code, we have we set our variables to be price, age, and mileage because those are our independent variables that we're using to predict car. And then we set y to be car, the dependent variable that we're trying to identify. And then from there, we import from sklearn logistic regression. Sklearn is a package just like pandas that has all the machine learning functions that you can possibly think of, from regular linear regression, multiple linear regression, PCA, SVM, even ensemble methods, and especially model criteria that come along with it. So using this package, I selected logistic regression, and then I fit the model according to my selected X and my selected Y's. And then I print out the accuracy score of the model. In this case, it came out to 74%.
Woohoo! So that means that we are above 70%, so we can get the 0% interest on the Porsche.
Yeah, definitely. It's incredibly
very good,
higher
very
than
good.
70%. So yeah.
So this shows the power of data science, that using data science with random guessing, where the possibility of getting 70% right was only 1%, we were able to actually get to 74% with data science. And we used a regression technique. Regression is type of an algorithm which have been there in statistics for many years, over 100 years. It's a very stable, very well and very famous technique in statistics. And using that logistic regression, we were able to actually predict the test data set with an approximate accuracy of 74%. So yeah, this is a very basic and simple example of doing a regression problem using data science. In the actual world, the problems have a lot more data, are a little bit more complicated, but this is a great starting point for people who are trying to get and see and get a flavor of what data science is and how it works and how it can help anybody where there is data. It can help that industry or vertical.
Okay, now that you've seen through an actual data science project or an application of data science at its simplest, we all know that most data science projects do go in more depth. So Zia, where can people go to get more in-depth data science learning or training projects?
So Kate, that's a great question. Usually, what I'd like to say is that data science is not just your traditional learning, because in traditional learning you are actually just learning one kind of core subject. In data science, there are multiple cores. You do need to know computer programming. You do need to also know statistics, and you also need to have a domain knowledge. So this is a different type of learning, and we have introduced a concept of applied labs. And with applied labs, what we do is that we pair people in the class in a way that there is somebody from stats, there is somebody who is stronger in programming, and then there is somebody who has domain knowledge, and then there's somebody from the business aspect of it. And we group them together in one class so that when you are in the sessions, you get different opinions of the same subject or the same question from different types of industries or different types of people. That is where the real learning happens, because a computer programmer will come to a question from a different angle, whereas a statistician would come to the same question from a different angle. So you would see how different domains or how different people approach the same problem. So keeping all that in mind, what we have, the DevMasters have created, is a Mastering Applied Data Science program
This runs for 12 weeks, and in the 12 weeks is basically the data science applied labs is the first 6 weeks, and the project-based learning is the second 6 weeks. Our course is very heavily focused on hands-on learning and practical learning, as well as projects. So we get you to do at least 3 projects in the course in the project-based learning, and maybe 2 smaller projects in the data science applied lab piece. So all in all, you will probably do 5 projects with us. Now, before we start this course for the 12 weeks, we do get people who are newer to programming or newer to statistics. So we have something that we call it as pre-work. Pre-work is people who want to get their basics about programming or stats done. We do have sessions for those people so that they can join them, and then when they start the program, they actually have gone over the concepts or gone over the basics in the pre-work for stats as well as for coding, because that's an important aspect of it, so that you are not concerned when you get into the actual program about that. So this course runs for 12 weeks. It's designed for professionals, so it runs on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. So you don't have to leave your job to actually take this course, or if you're interested in switching a career, you don't have to leave your job and start and do a Monday to Friday. You can actually do it on the weekends. Now, we do understand that there's life happens, and there could be a situation where you cannot attend a class or maybe a couple of classes or a weekend. So we allow you to come back and repeat the course at no additional charge for as many times as you want. So what we like to call it is a lifetime membership. So this course has a lifetime membership. So once you've taken the course, if you missed a class or if you didn't get the concept, and if you want to come back and review the course, you are welcome to come back and do it. Sometimes we introduce new topics, so if there's a new topic, you are welcome to come and join that course. So this is one of the trainings that we offer. The other course, so this is a 3 months one. The other option that you have with us is a 7-day, 7 consecutive days. So it starts on a Sunday and ends on a Saturday. So this is a 7-day course which is designed for more people who are already in the industry or have good background in coding and in stats, and have good knowledge of the domain, and they are interested in actually just enhancing their skills. So this is designed for people who want to do it in a really short time at a very high speed. This is 7 days consecutive. Again, comes with lifetime membership. So if you take this course once and if you want to come back and repeat it, you can absolutely repeat it. There is no additional charge for that. And once the course is done, once the materials is delivered, you do some projects within those 7 days, so that you get some hands-on experience with that. And you will do 2 Kaggle projects during those 7 days of the content. Again, it is designed to be a more practical oriented and has the same concept of applied labs in there, so that you can get different opinion from people who are in different domains for the same question. So that gives you an idea of how a business person would look at this question, and how a statistician would look at the same question, or how a computer programmer would look at the same question. Now, Kate, what kind of topics do we cover in this 7-day course?
Oh, yeah. We're going to speed run through a lot of topics, actually. So on the first day, we're actually going to introduce you to data science, which is basically we're walking through ChrisDM and some initial portions of data science, and walk you through exploring data using techniques such as an introduction to pandas, and a little bit about how you can manipulate some data points and data frames, actually. And then we move on to day 2, which is a lot of, now we say, okay, let's actually mine some data using NumPys and pandas again, where we'll actually find some sources of data out there on the web for you to scrape as an example of data mining. And then we'll end the day by saying, okay, here's now a data set that is considered a time series data set, and let's utilize what we've learned so far in the last 2 days to create a miniature project out of it for time series. And then day 3 is where all the fun starts, because the last 2 days was just data prepping and data cleaning. Day 3, you actually you start learning some initial machine learning concepts such as linear regression, simple regression, multiple regression, and then we move on to logistic regression, which is part of the advanced machine learning concepts because it's a classification, and then we move on to some more classification algorithms such as naive Bayes, decision trees, random forest. There's a whole bunch. Day 3 is actually a very long day but it's very, very useful. Then we move, and then since the last 3 days will probably burn people out, day 4 is kind of like a breather where we do 2 projects. One of them is estimation, the other one is classification, where you would then be able to review what you learned in the last 3 days and then actually see where you need help on and what an actual data science somewhat to almost the end looks like and how it feels and such. And then after that, you'll be fresh and ready to go for day 5, which is moving on to what we call the distinguishing parts of being a data scientist, where you learn about recommendation systems and then natural language processing and sentiment analysis, where you now consider text as data, where this data can actually tell you how your customers are thinking or so on and so forth. And then day 6 is another big part about being a data scientist, which actually creeps a little bit into artificial intelligence actually, with big data with Spark, and computer vision with a miniature project, and then deep learning. And we wrap off the 7-day course with, again, a project, two projects actually, where you decide which 4 topics in the last 2 days that you feel you really, really liked. So project 1, it can either be natural language processing or a recommendation system, and project 2 can be a computer vision or a deep learning. And yeah, that about wraps up the whole 7 days. Of course, the 12-week program is a little bit more spaced out if you feel like this is going too fast, but again, I'd like to remind you that our courses do have a lifetime membership guarantee, where if it's too fast for you the first time, you can definitely come back again and utilize learn the same thing over again.
Yeah, so that's a, sorry.
Yeah, with different people actually this time probably, because yeah.
That's a lot of content for 7 days for sure. But again, as Kate was saying, that it comes with a lifetime warranty, lifetime guarantee kind of thing, so you can come back and take the course again. But it's some great content, lots of information. So if you are up for it, get ready, and we'll be happy to have you on board.
Yeah. Then if you need some help getting on board, there's some financing options. We have in the first column, we have flexible payment options, where we'll actually be able to help break down into 3 payments for the program. Note that this is only available for the 12-week program, because we'll be able to help you break it down further. In 7 days is actually not that possible. And then for scholarships, we have a veteran scholarship for veterans, scholarship for students, which is about 5 to 10%. These require documentation, of course. And then if you're part of a corporation and you feel like, say you wanted to bring this to your company instead, we have a group discount and a one-time pay discount also, if that helps. Yeah. And then
Here are some testimonials from some of our past students. We have people from biostatistics, logistics, some software engineers, some in finance and retail. So it's not just your average computer programmer or just statisticians running through this program. There's a lot of people that see the benefit and uses of data science, so they hopped on it as soon as possible and went through our program and are very happy to have gone through our program. Yeah. And then here are some pictures of some of our classes where you see some of our students, our setup, and how crowded it sometimes gets, but at the same time how small the classes are also. And it's a great experience for those who went through this. It shows where they used it and how they've learned it, and yeah. And, yeah, so Zia, if people really like what they've seen so far, what is considered the next step?
Yeah, so good question, Gate, again. If you like data science, if you are interested in becoming a data scientist, and you are interested in finding out a little bit more about the course, or you're interested in actually attending an advanced session, you are welcome to reach out to us. Kate will be sharing our contact details with you shortly. So you're welcome to reach out to us, and we will be happy to. The advanced sessions are more by invitation only, so we'll be happy to send you an invite for the advanced session. The advanced sessions are typically held in Southern California, in the Orange County and the LA County area, but we are opening it up to other places as well. So if you are interested, please reach out to Kate, and we'll be happy to send you an invite for the advanced session. The other option, so that's one thing that you can do with us. The other option is that if you have a general question, and if you wanted to talk to somebody about how to approach it, what are your learning options, what's the next step that you should do, and those kind of questions, you are welcome to actually again reach out to us, and we'll set up a time with one of our team members who will be happy to answer any questions for you, and maybe give you any thoughts that they have on that topic. So the second option that you can have is that you can book a time with one of our team members and discuss whatever you have on your mind for data science. The third option, that how you can engage us, is by if you have a project in mind that you want to do and would like us to help you out with that project, we would be happy to talk to you about that as well. We call it as a POC, so we'll be happy to talk to you about any proof of concepts or any projects that you have in mind that you want somebody else to do it for you, or somebody else to help you out with that. So that's the third way that you can reach out to us. So these, Kate, I believe, are the next steps typically for anybody who's interested in data science and would like to pursue this.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our webinar. I hope it was informational for you. I just want to remind everybody that if you still have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us via this email, contact@thedevmasters.com, or you can also reach us by this phone number, 1-866-340-1375, and you can talk to any of the team members here and send your questions there by email as well. Thank you again, guys, and have a wonderful day. Look forward to talking to you soon.